3, 2, 1, and sync! Hello, hello! This is Lava Man, back at it again with a recently released ROM hack, Mega Man 2 Revamped. I was one of the playtesters of this fine hack, created by Skipper1995 of course, Mega Man 2 Atari Demake fame, and of course, DWFA, Dr. Wily's Final Attack, and of course the original 3 Revamped, which you may have heard of. He's actually made an improvement hack similar to this a long time ago, but I don't think it's been released on romhacking.net. It was an old thing, so this is kind of like a revisit of that in a technical sense, which is kind of interesting to think about. Mega Man 2 Revamped. Obviously, I was picked as a playtester for this because of my sort of neutral bias on the original 2 itself. I didn't grow up with the game. I think it's overrated as shit. As a whole slew of problems, but simultaneously, it is an absolute miracle that it got made at all, if of course you're familiar with its development hell. Not as hellish as 3's, in my opinion, but significantly more time crunched. They had to work off 1's engine, they didn't have any time to test the weapons, and barely had, well, they had time to, they made sure that the weapons functionally worked, but they didn't have enough time to balance them at all, or check if the tables were reasonable by any stretch. Hold on. Gonna lag the ROM significantly by unplugging my, unplugging my laptop. And of course, this is my noisy apartment right next to the street, blah blah blah. My recording sucks, but hopefully I'll provide some interesting commentary as compensation. Yeah. I like right off the bat that, you know, obviously, the original hard mode has been set to the normal default, and the original normal has been set to easy for any yanks who want to, I don't know, pussy themselves out on this, interesting experience. Tatishi's music is, like, pretty magical, though. One thing Skipper and I both have in common is that we're well familiar with the AK interview with Hitoshi Ariga, the acclaimed, you know, Rockman, Megamix, Gigamix, Burner Man, Dynamo Man visual designer artist guy. He didn't create the boss patterns, though, dear God, thank but, yeah, that interview with Akira Kitamura, Mega Man's actual original father, is really something else, and it paints Mega Man in a new, interesting perspective if you haven't already read that interview. It's quite interesting. I guess I'll link it in the description if you haven't already listened to it. But, yeah, the reason I'd say Keiji Inafune gets erroneously titled the father of Mega Man is because he was there since the first game, kind of joined in the middle of its production, but still, he was there during, he was in charge of a majority of Mega Man's productions. He kind of helped take the wheel after the lead planner for 3 left, and after Akira Kitamura, I don't know how to say that, whatever. After Akira Kitamura left, he's been around forever, but I guess there were just a lot of yank mistranslations and misconceptions that I guess weren't clarified by the general public. One thing I can respect about Keiji Inafune, overrated as I think he is, as well as kind of like 2, is that he has, like, he's tried to denounce and suppress the erroneous title of being called the father of Mega Man, because he's not. I could make a joke about the recent NFT fiasco, but I won't. it's just a misconception that wasn't on his part. AK though, AK, my man. Okay, I don't know why I'm going on this tangent. Let me just start with a Robot Master. Frickin' heat. No item 2. Going in dry. Balls deep. No lube. Right off the bat, you may notice some interesting pipe ends. Yep. Bragging rights. I made those. If you check PPU Viewer, you'll notice that there are a lot of repeated 8x8 meta tiles within the ROM that, if you're unfamiliar with ROM hacking, appear to be stored kind of inefficiently in terms of space, but because of how 2's engine, 1 and 2's engines work, it's not like 3 through 6 where 8x8 meta tiles can create multiple different 16x16s and then those are recompiled into 32x32s. The tiles start off 16x16 depending on how they're arranged within the bank itself. So you can't just have a single 8x8 black tile and expect that to work as the as multiple, you know, as tiles for multiple things. You have to store multiple of those, which kind of sucks and is kind of stupid. But you know, they were still new to this kind of stuff. I'm not gonna diss HMD for it. He was the one behind Megaman's magnificent color changing, after all. As you may have noticed, there aren't a lot of major alterations. I'm sucking at this so hard. To this level so far, other than the block, other than that one room with the Springer, and of course the graphical changes. And that's because this is the main meat and gravy thing that got altered, that is. This Yoku section right here. That was me sucking. I could have made the jump, but for some reason my input failed. Yeah, I am sucking balls here, trying to commentate and play at the same time. Let me see. What other additions on this? I'm zoning out. Better steer clear. Zipping still got me. That's embarrassing. That's incredibly embarrassing. I am butchering this run quite hard. Let me see. Oh yeah. One thing you may have noticed is that there is an absence of Shankies, disappointingly. Yeah, those couldn't fit into the bank data because this stage unfortunately shares memory with Wiley 1. So that's kind of like, it's kind of like a funny payoff, for the awesomeness that is Wiley 1, they had to sacrifice just the entirety of, like, they blew their budget on Wiley 1, and this stage was the scrap, so to speak. It's funny to think that for every good stage it's paired with, nah, it's not always the case. Quickman, for instance, is paired with Wiley 5, and they both have a bunch of leftover memory, I guess. Whatever. Time constraints. But yeah, that's the reason Chankies weren't able to be implemented, because the Armored Joes already eat up a bunch of storage, and the way Joes are positioned in, that's how I would have done it, if I didn't suck. But you can see the twist here with these Yokus is now that there are tellies instead of a head jump, and I like this last telly, a nod to AK's original style of level design, where he would take in a single enemy type, and then he'd ramp up the difficulty curve in positioning only, and then the very last positioned enemy in that stretch would be notably easier than the one before it. So there's just a little telly in the way, which is cute. Heatman himself is unaltered, save for a little damage table, I believe, for a particular weapon. Same pattern, same crash bomb glitch. It's the first thing tested when I got an early build of this. He's still the same old shoot and jump over him shtick. Recoding boss fights is much more difficult to do than enemy positioning, which Skipper is very talented at. Of course, that shouldn't be an expectation for this ROM if you've played 3 Revamped, in which none of the boss patterns were significantly altered either, with exception of course, freaking hitboxes. So some hitboxes will be significantly fixed or altered. There will be some patterns that are slightly modified as well. But heat is not one of them. We get item 1. I regret to inform you that although the weapons have been significantly rebalanced in this game, I will not be using Atomic Fire immediately. You have to go to Crash first, and Atomic Fire has its uses, but I'm just saying it's mostly a small enemies type of deal. You can see the clouds have been added to this opening stretch, but otherwise graphically not much has been altered because Crash has a lot of storage already eaten up. There wasn't a lot of spare stuff to add. We could technically change the palettes, I guess, but yeah. The positioning is obviously the major thing changed about this stage. I like this spike here. There is an appropriate difficulty curve applied to this section. Some panic moments. I mean, you can always reset the room if you don't have enough time to deal with that. But yeah. And instead of blockies here, there are instead peepees. So this is a good introduction for them, a bit different from the sudden FU of the original climbing section, and the FU of the original blocky placements. Blockies and Schworms are a very, how do I put it, specialized enemy, and so they're very difficult to position properly, and in the original game they were not positioned properly at all. I like this placement. Gonna go back and, I know this isn't Nico Evaluates, and it's been annoying for me to repeat a screen like this, but I mean, you can also use this method to avoid it, which is cool, I think. Similar to the original, but a bit easier and less strenuous. You may have noticed that the Neomets also open slightly slower, more slowly, so you can get a shot in before they open up. So they're... You can tell the Met Beta took inspiration from the original Neomet and the Megaman 1 Met, but this sort of... Should I go this way? Yeah. There's plenty of space to dodge these peepees now, which is very much appreciated. Darn motorcycle, back at it again. Now that we have item 1, we can reach the E-Tank. The other ladder has been shortened, so you can no longer grab the 1-up in a single jump. I kind of like the challenge of making a precise ladder jump to get that 1-up, but this isn't my hack. Whoops. It's not exactly my job to assert how I would do things, but rather to check that things are working as intended by the developer and that it fits the developer's vision, which can sometimes work and sometimes not work depending on the developer themselves. Obviously, second opinions are all very important, because there may be some things that the developer originally overlooked, but, you know. And AK himself said that, you know, things are, that, he himself, wasn't this, like, he created the concept, but he never would have gotten it off the ground if it hadn't been for the collaborative effort of other people pitching in ideas. So, yeah. But I'm just saying that, a lot of it can heavily, end up on the part of the main developer, and sometimes if that developer is stubborn... Okay, I'm just vague talking about Page now, let's not. Crash hasn't been altered either. I kind of like his attack moves, I just wish you didn't have to repeat it 28 times. Of course, if you're Ultima Mantoid, you can sink 4 shots into a single pass, but I am not Ultima. His damage tables have been altered as well, slightly, but otherwise nothing significant. The stage itself, of course, you saw the ending stretch with the, you're probably wondering about that. Yeah, the, the sort of Met dispensers used at the end. Yeah, those were inserted as a little throwback. What to do next? What to do next? I think I'll do Flash. Yeah. Atomic Fire won't get much love in this stage either, from me anyway. It charges significantly more quickly. And this is kind of weird teaching me that there are going to be a lot of dead ends here. But it charges a lot more quickly and drains a lot less. There's a little more leeway in case you miss a couple times. So if you sink 2 full charges in, you'll still have 2 more full charges for, say, Woodman if you're going up against him. Oops. These shotman placements are quite good, except for this one that scrolls back. But otherwise, I mean, very well done. Be able to see them coming and dodge them appropriately. An energy balancer was added to this game. Another thing, I think I was the one who suggested this. Maybe I wasn't the one who suggested it first, but I definitely suggested it. Is making it so you can switch a weapon when there are bullets on screen. That buffs. You may be aware from the animator Dan Root that a lot of 2's weapons have unique reflecting animations. Unique dinging animations, which is kind of funny to think about. They ding all the time, but they have unique animations for it, instead of reflecting off in a diagonal direction. I'm gonna kill this Shotman just for sport, but I obviously have Crash Bomb, so I can get up there. That was on me. Heh. Crash is now remote detonated, which is very nice. I appreciate the challenge with this Schwarm. The Schwarms are also positioned a lot more appropriately, I would say. You can kind of take this one out from a distance. Maybe it's only one position, slightly dubiously, but I don't know how I would change that. Schwarms are Schwarms. Really, the only way you could fix them is by, I don't know, giving the metal pipes like 2 HP instead of 3. I don't know. But, they're positioned a lot more appropriately in this stage. You can obviously make your way down there with a little bit of know-how, but I want to do this section because it's fun. It's a fun panic section. Kind of hide under this alcove. There's a 3 sprite, there's a 3 Schwarm limit, so kind of take your time. Same with the teaching same with the first encounter, but you could call it a teaching element. It's kind of, yeah. The ending stretch isn't significantly altered, except for a couple of hits that I'm pretty sure weren't there before. And of course the little graphical flares. Okay, yeah, those jumps are definitely good. I'm not going to be using Crash Bomb for this, so I can just... That lower section isn't significantly different. Flash, on the other hand, himself is... Get used to me accidentally calling Time Stopper Flash Stopper a lot because I don't know, I talk about 4's weapons a lot more than 2's. But, Flash's layout has been made a lot easier. And his spread shot is a lot narrower, which is why his health has been, well, that was retroactive, but which is why his health has been buffed from 14 to 28. Ow. His contact damage is the primary thing to look out for, since the bullets do 2 damage. Oh no, Time Stopper. Woe is me. But, He's still a tricky pattern that you kind of gotta have to position yourself for and strategize and time properly. You actually have to fight him instead of damage boosting. You actually have to give a shit about the fight, which is something I appreciate quite a bit. Time Stopper. And of course, item 3. The little jewels from Jewel Man are quite cute. I would have gone with original material, but it's not my hack. Do quick next. Now that we have Time Stopper, don't expect me to use it too much, just for a quick room. Darn it. Originally his name was Boomerang Man, so you might be disappointed to find there aren't a lot of boomerangs, just laser-themed stuff, in terms of background elements. So this is the stage with the Chankies instead of Heat, which is whatever. A lot more savory spine placements this time around. Shworms have been removed entirely. You may have noticed those little platforms from Wiley Wars. I was the one who suggested that. Skipper cleaned them up. Well, there was extra bank space for Quick in addition to Heat. The other stages only had like 1 or 2 tiles left over. You may have noticed the unused background elements also applied. Now the blackout mechanic, whoops, becomes interesting when paired with the springers. Let me see if I can more properly do a maneuver I screwed up on in an older take. Wow. I totally butchered that. Okay, that's embarrassing. Now I kind of have to get the 1-up just to compensate. Don't worry, I'll make this quick. Apologies for the keyboard mashing. I went on a camping excursion and I recently recovered from a horrible case of carpal tunnel. It's still ongoing. It's one of those things that kind of lasts for can last from a couple of weeks to a couple months, and it's been ongoing since early to mid-June, and it's early to mid-July, and still kind of have remnants of it. Ha! Let me see. Ha! Yeah, there we go. Haha. That's a cleverly dickish placement right there. It's right below a beam, so you kind of have to narrowly jump over it, or damage boost if you suck. And just in the spirit of Atari Demake, the Chankies reappear at the end with pitfalls, which is always fun. No, seriously, they're positioned pretty well, pretty fairly, pretty reasonably. You just have to remember where the pits are. I mean, just by looking at the screen, you know, it's not anything particularly hard. If you remember his placements of the sort of hologram gimmick in the Wiley Stages of 3 Revamped, this is nothing new. Quick has also been altered. His original pattern, if you may have remembered from Hunam 1 and Felon's covering of it, originally he would either do a low, medium, or high jump, and then he would run forward. But if he clipped into a wall, then he might run early on. Why am I dodging him so well? I guess I really did need practice. Oh god. But Skipper kind of wanted him to be 28 HP instead of 14. I thought it was too hard. Maybe I just sucked at the time. I don't know. You can speculate about that. Everything he does is 4 damage, so I mean, he's still fast and frantic and difficult to dodge, so I mean, none of his damage tables have been altered, but he only does medium to high jumps, I believe the medium jump is behind you, and the clipping into the wall glitch has been fixed, so he will reliably run after a set amount of jumps. He is no longer random and a jerk-ass spaz. Oh, right, that's a yank phrase. I just pissed off a bunch of UK people. I apologize, that wasn't intentional. I guess we're gonna go with air next. Yeah, I have a potty mouth, I'm sorry. Fuck, bitch, piss, dicks. I zoned out. I don't know why I picked air. You can see there was a spare tile left, so Skipper added a fan. This was Megaman 5. We could animate it, but fat chance with that. The palette cycling, the cycling palette in this stage kind of does more of a fading in and out thing, unlike Bubbles. None of the positions so far have been noticeably different with this stage, but you'll start to see some changes pretty soon. If you thought it was vanilla, think again. My freaking quick boomerang, what am I doing? Nope, you know what, I have heat. Originally, this guy dinged to heat, until I pointed it out. Yoink. And then a little non-spike maneuver with this last Kaminari Goro, Lightning Lord, in spirit of frickin' AK. If I had Leaf Shield, I could show off PP's. Well, I could show off its effectiveness against PP's, but I'm pretty sure it was pretty good in the original 2. This room's a bit interesting. The Schworms have been removed. I would have kept them just to have some variety and maybe add like another room in between. But it's Skipper's one. We can, if it's his decision to simplify the enemy layout, then that's his decision. You may have noticed that it still drops down, and you can see from the hole in the clouds. But if you wander around a little, and you like to wander, Skipper didn't tell me about that, I found out myself. Typical Mega Man 4 stuff. 4 is a significant improvement on everything 2 originally failed at. But this is not 4. Only in some places. You can see this last position's interesting. It's a bit lower because the horns don't sync up properly. Well, sometimes, depending on how they're scrolled on. I thought, in my opinion, that the jump was awkward, and so he lowered it. Because there's already a difficulty peak with the way the clouds were obscuring the vision of the goblins. Maybe a little, but a little demonstration on the destructive power of Atomic. And a demonstration that it's toggleable. Did it fall through a pit or something? Just, whatever. I'll definitely show off the weapons in the Wiley stages where they definitely count. I mean, they matter in the Robot Master stages unquestionably, but, you know, you'll only usually have like a small handful, so it will highly depend. Air's pattern has been made a lot more lenient and dodgeable. But just like the original, in the original he wasn't quote-unquote unbeatable either. You could just damage race him. And here it's no different. It's not really something that's... His fight is kind of screwed from the start. Like his pattern, it's hard to kind of build a better pattern around that. But it is an improvement over the original. I'd say Tornado Man directly improves upon Airman's pattern. It just making the blow mechanic vertical and homing it on the player and adding spikes for an additional challenge if you jump too high and you're too greedy. But that's a story for another day. Which to do next? I'm so much... Yeah, we'll do wood, why not? Let's give Quick Boomerang some love. I haven't been giving him enough attention. As Nico pointed out, this stage wasn't particularly flawed to begin with. Save for maybe the Rabot rooms were a little plain. You may have noticed some graphical... I guess it's a bit random which ones open up first. The unused sort of, Atomic Fire, still Atomic Fires. And we have enough energy to use all three. But what I want to point out is that Air Shooter's a little busted now. Because it works like a triple blade. Ignoring iframes, being a bitch to the bitches. That was a really terrible joke. Yeah, I like that screen also. You know, you can pacifist it if you position yourself properly. Heh. I like these little vine additions, even if we are already above the trees. I mean, makes it much, like I said, it makes as much sense as the wood platforms being suspended in the air to begin with. They're not really jump throughable. You can obviously like crash bomb the sides. Obviously, there's energy balancer will decide for us. Probably Flash. Let's crash bomb some love. Kind of goes through things. These last two screens you can pacifist. So I was slow there. That was bad, I want to do over. That's funny. So, you've heard my Case Rock Force stuff. Slow there again. My stance on pacifism is that I think it's fun because it's not something you would initially approach. I think this is a good section for maybe after the difficulty spike. Yeah, I sucked there. But, my stance on pacifism is just that, like, yeah, it's not something you would originally intend to do. And so it's fun in that regard to figure out which sections are viable for pacifism. But I subjectively prefer it when it's near the beginning or middle of a difficulty curve instead of at the end, because it feels like, well, you didn't really overcome something, did you? You just kind of pussied your way through. But I'll forgive it here, I guess. So, like, the beginning of Fuse Man would be a good example of pacifism that I like. Well, actually, no. Sometimes the peak of a difficulty curve, I don't know how I dodged that, but I presume it has to do with the fixed hitboxes and the fact that Woodman jumps slightly higher now. Usually, Wood is super hard, but I almost managed to no damage him somehow. Don't ask. Now the ending of Pulse is another good example of a peak in difficulty curve in which I actually enjoyed the pacifism. Because it's still a bit of a challenge. But, there it was kind of, you can just jump over the last two Rabots, whatever, no big deal. There's still like an element of panic. Bubble. It's obviously a good place to show off Leaf Shield. It's been buffed in some places, nerfed in others, particularly the energy consumption, but that's because it follows a player. It acts like a shield, it blocks bullets, it's launchable now. You can do this. You can do this. I said, yeah, the damage table isn't that great, but it's excellent against small enemies, obviously. Speaking of which, tear him, air shooter. teaching element with the bubble platforms, obviously. I didn't know you were able to do this. Ah! Which, I don't know, it's interesting. It's something you can do. Don't kill me. Okay. Let me try that again. Because I butchered that quite a bit. Ha! Yeah, you can do that. Then unfreeze and let the platforms fall. Should be able to blow up a frog, and now you can. Glad the Kirog's damage tables were just ripped out directly from the source. I think Kirog's damage tables are among 2's worst. As I've mentioned in the past, its true weakness, ignoring this game, is Firestorm and Wiley Tower. Because it kills it in 4 shots instead of the typical 5. Oh! He's the seaweed from like, Mario World. Has been transferred to the cycling pallet. Leaf Shield now kills the Anko in 3 hits instead of 2. Which, I mean, I would say it decreases its viability in that section, but you can pause and unpause when a weapon dings, so you know, so it doesn't take a long while for you to reload it. Forget the names of these things. Most people just call them Metroids because their original name is akin to CW01P, and I forget the actual specifics. Bubble section wasn't changed too much. Let me see if I can. Probably gonna run out of energy before that happens, yeah. Figures. Quick Boomerang might be of use, though. Leaf Shield unquestionably has its places, such as the, literally the section before the mini-boss, but originally it was a little better here. No big deal. Like I said, I'm very passionate about the original Leaf Shield. The other weapons... The other weapons. That's because I did a Leaf Shield only run, and biased in that regard, because it didn't suck as much as some people have exaggerated it to be. It just sucks as a defensive weapon. Crabs are mixed with the, well, the claws, as they're known, are mixed with the, bubble platform now, which is interesting. And you may have noticed the little nets added, graphically speaking. The Tanishi placements were also altered. Basically, just the beginning stretch was the biggest improvement, I would say, made to the stage. Bubble was one of those stages that they definitely, like, how to put it, blew their budget on in terms of enemy variety and theme identity. Because you also have throwaway stages like Flash and Crash, where... Yeah, I'm terrible. I fast-forwarded because I'm impatient. I've been doing... It's a bad habit I acquired during playtesting. I know that he's kind of a fireman situation, but if you shoot under him, then he won't really shoot back because he's not on your level. I jumped too high. So basically the damage tables, if I didn't already give it away, is that they have been altered, and this is in the README, obviously, so it's not really a giveaway, is that the damage tables have been altered to have secondary weaknesses, but they're otherwise not too different. So, Bubble's secondary, well, I'll show it off later, I guess. And this is a good place to pause. Whoops. We are now back from a recording break. Let's pick metal, I guess. giant eyeball on a sprite. Obviously, right off the bat. Screw you! No free E-Tank. Hitboxes have been fixed. That was on me. Another thing you may have noticed in the README is that you can destroy these now. Melt them into slag. Which is a very nice addition. Gives atomic fire and a bonus utility function. Crash Bomb can destroy walls. And atomic fire can break these presses. I never really cared for moles. They're not positioned... Well, their positioning is a bit different in this hack, but the patterns themselves haven't been altered too heavily. Yeah, moles aren't really a thing I care heavily about. I can talk about them some other time, though. Yeah. Originally, these guys were immune to air shooter, which at first sounds counterintuitive until you learn that the cogs glitch funny if you kill the rider. That's probably the reason they patched that, but it's a relatively well-known and easy to replicate glitch, even just with the buster, so it was left in for this. You can, of course, crash bomb these now, or atomic fire them if you prefer. Even just a half charge is pretty nice. But I'm going to stop and buster these to admire their positioning. Because buster only is something I like to do, and this playtesting session has kind of eased me out of that comfort zone. Now, item 2 is almost directly required as opposed to any particular item. Gives it some increased viability. And here, the peak of difficulty curve. Yeesh. But you've had plenty of time to practice with the previous positions. It's not like a crash situation, and that was just me sucking and not ducking under the alcove like I probably should have. There we go. Of course, you can jump over them at any point in time. Backwards entrance. I love doing this. Don't think of stopping me. I don't believe metal has been changed other than the damage tables again. But that's because he's one of the better patterns. His fight wasn't too sucky to begin with. It's kind of just a long game of dodge the frisbee. 0-0. If you want to play it slow and methodical, you can wait for the conveyor to always be switched to the left. And if you want to be more reckless, you can just mash. And if you want to be even or dangerous, but if you're familiar with a pattern in that regard, you can loop block him to jump back and forth if you get close to him, and then sort of run around the middle. I suck at that though, so I'm going to use the vanilla method of fighting him. His design is very Ninja Captor-esque. There's me again using that phrase. He's a spitting image of number 5, the mechanic dude. Metal Blade. Sure, that'll come in handy. It's been nerfed, as you may imagine. Works the same. Drains energy much more quickly. I think 2 shots per bar now, which is, I think, to be more heavily expected. So, one of the, let's give Leaf some love. Its hitbox has also been buffed, I don't know if I mentioned that. So actually, yeah, I'm very passionate about the original ability to aim up and down. The reason that was removed is because, well, to increase the viability of weapons such as air shooter and, well, metal blade and bubble lead. Of course, I just got bubble lead. I might as well use it. Heh 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 heh. Actually, not bad. Actually works against the bacon dispensers for once. Haha! Yeah. Bubble lead working like it should. What a surprise, right? That was me being idiotic. But now I can just rush through without having to demonstrate anything. Give me that. Give me that. Oh yeah, item 3 also drains a lot more slowly. Should probably be. Darn, leave shields at the center of the menu. Give me that. Yeah, I'm on full figures. To demonstrate its draining capabilities. Ha, ha, ha. But the real good weapon to use against this guy is that. And of course you can use it for this section to dodge the bullets, or avoid them completely. Or you can wait a bit and then run. Your call. Sniper Joe positions are a lot more interesting in this, as you may quickly discover. Synced pretty well. That's a very interesting position right there. It's always a challenge. I like challenges. And, of course, I should probably just, bam! Bubble Lead's trajectory is very satisfying. I like the way it arcs upward slightly. And, of course, I like to dick around and, oops. Just hang around this little alcove, just doing nothing, because it's funny. Now for the big boy himself, the guy that that was originally planned to appear in the one, the only, Mecha frickin' Dragon, dragging my balls across the floor. That's a funny, haha. Originally we were worried that screwing with Heat's Bank would retroactively and overwriting places with unused tiles and Wiley 1 would somehow retroactively screw up the dragon. It didn't, as far as we know anyway. Still the same old Windows DVD screensaver pattern. Maybe he shoots a slightly less erratically, or I've just gotten better at the fight. I don't know which. Now here's where alterations to the game have become increasingly noticeable. Air shooter is obviously a one-shot for these guys, which is very fitting. Very nice. I approve. Let's see. What do we want to fill? Shield. That'll be useful later. Off to 2 we go. Obviously now there are tellies for farming purposes, I believe. This stage, memory-wise, is paired with... You know what? I forget. Air, I think. See, here is where metal blades become useful, but not, like, required. Like every other weapon now has its moments. Another nice thing about this is that, you know, the Sabro's a bit in the way, but you can totally backtrack and grab that 1-up as a reward for taking the lower path. Give me that. Gonna switch downward. Oh well. So the layout is different from Atari Demake, but that's because now we're working directly with or around the limitations of how memory is stored. So now the Sabros, you know, appear in this. Bit of a slowdown with the moles paired with the presses, but what can you do? It's not a terrible position. That's synced up pretty well, but of course if you want to resync it up, you can obviously just jump on item 3. Drains a lot more slowly, as aforementioned. I could use weapons to destroy that, but I want the challenge of syncing that up. I can jump over the last one, of course. Yoink! Wow, that's embarrassing. Okay. And of course the checkpoint's right there. Now I can just do this. Let's see. This Mo also eats spines, as it should. It's a large projectile. Let me settle a score with that Sabro. Gimme! So obviously, if I wanted to kill him without damage boosting, that's how I would do it. Let's see. Places where Metal Blade is useful, but not horribly broken. Here you want to keep the Sabro alive, probably. Yeah, the clamp is, the press is blue now, but its default is the last paladin. There's not really any code-related workaround around that. As aforementioned, I'm well versed in Pico Pico. Buster only, damageless. Can't promise the same here. It's been a while, but it's even harder if you pretend these are pits. Jesus. But it's a fun challenge. This is one of the better bosses of Megaman 2, for sure. But I'm gonna pretend these are pits for a moment. Ah, crap. And there goes my charade. So obviously no alteration was done to that fight, because it's almost fine as it is. For like a hard mode, those things could be pits, but whatever. Do. This stage has also been altered very heavily. Just like in 3, Skipper is a master of enemy positioning, so let's see. Yeah, of course. It's so hard to balance using the Buster to show off how these positions are excellent on their own, and using weapons to I mean, you could complain about that, but it's pretty easy to... It comes from that stage, so, you know. I thought it was fine that way. Obviously, with these, you can still do the classic... Yep. And the even more classic... Yep. Spike drop isn't too different from what I recall anyway, but that's because it was a low difficulty to begin with. It's one of the better spike drops out there, even if it's almost all there was to the original stage. This time, using the claws is quite adorable. They are a very hectic addition, and adding these extra screens, I think, is well worth it. It kind of, you know, I want to say gives off unlimited Wiley 2 vibes, aesthetically. Very hectic having all these shells and crabs flying about. And of course, if you time it improperly and you're too slow, then these guys will spawn from here. And you have to take them out with weapons. Yoink. Guts tank is fun, but another kind of damage race. I'm just gonna skip him because there's not much to talk about. He's the same as far as I can recall. Maybe some hitboxes have been fixed, but otherwise he's Guts tank. Wow, one shot! It was on easy mode with the turbo button. Wow. And now, Wiley 4, boobies. Lots of boobies. Booby traps all about. Memory with this stage was actually very tight, so being able to add these little blinking lights is all Skipper was really able to accomplish, but it adds so much. Now it's very graphically distinct from the other stages. And now there's a bit of a method to the madness of the fake blocks. Because now you can, if you didn't already pick up the pattern, they don't cast shadows. Neither do the ladders, but I mean, hey, something. Also having, you know, Leaf Shield eat bullets is very nice, so you can, like, try again. So if you're cowardly, you can indeed take them out that way. And so now that Leaf Shield has an edge in eating up bullets, maybe it's a good thing that it drains as quickly as it does. And of course, the almighty Bubble Lead is still helpful if you haven't picked up the hint that the fake blocks, you know. Let me see, what else? Ah yes, as you may have seen, pausing and unpausing on ladders. A thing that wasn't fixed until frickin' 5 of all games. I'll do the E-Tank maneuver legitimately. Heh, heh, heh. Yoink! Oh! Nice final warning, I forgot about that. Hip, hip, hip! So to make up for my bypassing of the bubble platforms in Bubble, I'll do those normally, but don't expect me to do the last one, legit. So obviously you have a multitude of ways you can deal with these things. Right, unpausing temporarily suspends you from the air. I forgot about that. It's a single life lost. Nothing too important, we are right at the beginning. Embarrassing as it is to be at the bottom of the difficulty curve and die there. Bubble Eat still kills, as it normally should. Yeah, you now have multiple options as opposed to just... There's another thing that you can do. Maybe I should go to the end of the loop and show it off. Yeah, I'm gonna redo the screen because if this was intentional, then it's very well done. I don't know if this was in the original. Either way, regardless of whether it was implemented in the original or not, or added in the remake. Oh. Heh. Originally, I guess it depends on where you're standing, but if you time it right, you can just instantly thread your way through there. Let me try one more time. Yeah. Speedrun. I don't know why it failed so horribly the first time. I think I was too slow. See, the difficulty curve is ascending with the gimmicks being added in very clever ways. And now, this isn't the last room, although now would be a good time to break out the shield again. Gimme. Not a substantially different room from before, but the last one is a bit of something else. Huh. Here's a place where Flash Stopper is really useful. Oh my god. Both for the bubble platform and for the crash platform. Also, I forgot to mention it. Give me that. But, the fact that these guys die instantly to, air shooter now flows very well with the fact that they also pilot sniper, Armored Joes, so can kill that and then kill that, without having to switch to any weapons, which is very nice. So here, obviously, you can switch to bubbles, or you can eyeball it. Whichever works for you. I appreciate having multiple options to do things. And now, the peak of the difficulty curve. Yep. And then I like to point blank it. Haha. Obviously, plenty of energy is given. Not like Atari Demake where it's in the middle of a fight, but rather right before. Let me see, are there any weapons that need filling? Just a little bit of each, I think. I'll do a couple more shots, and then on the next energy drop, I'll just bust in. Wait! I definitely need some for Crash, haha. Yeah, okay, one more energy belt for Crash, and then we're going. It's rather embarrassing that I used weapons so aggressively that now I have to farm for them, but the fact that it is an option is very much appreciated. Imagine going in with, you know what? Even if you didn't come with a full Crash, you can still do this reliably. How do I switch to that when it's more viable to item up first? Okay. Obviously with, yoink! With item switching being a lot more easier to accomplish, you can do this a lot more quickly. Ow. Yoink! Ow. Goodbye. And now the Refights. So there are a couple new secondary damage tables that are worth pointing out. First of all, bubbles! Now let's go in order of the... Let's go in order of the weapon menu itself. So, metal blades, obviously. If you know Metal Man, you know what he's weak to, but they're no longer effective against flash. They're a secondary weakness to so many things that it was another reason they were so horribly, horribly broken. Now, their only secondary is, aside from the primary bubble, is wood. No, that's air, I'm stupid. Wood's the one on the bottom left. Airs is something he would probably drown in. Suffocate himself. That's how I see it. Bubbles! Yoink, 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 yoink. Bye-bye. Speaking of bubbles, flash is no different. That's metal again. Stupid. Metal does have a secondary weakness of his own originally. Every boss reflected to this weapon. But I made a little suggestion that, hey, you know, I think it would make some sense for him to be weak to shield, just pattern-wise. I think it makes some sense. So you can do that. Hush, sweet Prince of Darkness. Back to bubbles. Flash is primarily weak to them. Well, no, not primarily. Secondarily. He's primarily weak to Crash, but he's also secondarily weak to heat. Let's see. Oh yeah, in terms of Metal Blade, wood is still secondarily weak to it because it makes sense. Wood was originally secondarily weak to a lot of things. I don't know if he is now, probably not. Like, there was Air Shooter, there was Crash Bomb, there was a whole bunch of stuff. Yoink! Oh. Should have been downward. Heat secondary is pretty funny. I kinda want to do the Crash Bomb thing, because it's fun. Do the funny crash thing, funny man! Do the funny crash thing! Haha! That's always fun to see. No, his secondary is air. For obvious reasons. Flame Man. Suffocation or manipulation of his heat abilities, whatever. Bubbles is Quake Boomerang, as expected. The other cutting weapon. There we go. Hey, kinda have to do Quick, because Quick already had a secondary, it was Crash. And it's the same here. We're not missing out on anything. I think I forgot to mention it, but Flash Stopper also... That Time Stopper! Also drains a bit more slowly. Goodbye. I said, good day, sir. And lastly, the other boss, secondarily weak to, I should have held down before I entered. Yeah, it's an embarrassment. But, yeah. If you know the quick boomerang exploit, same thing. And, the weapon energy drains a bit more quickly now. Pun intended. But it also dishes out the boomerangs themselves a bit more quickly. As mentioned in the changelog. We are going to use that energy to our fullest advantage. Give me that. If you know the weakness, you know the weakness. Somehow that didn't work at first. I don't think I have enough for enough. Oh, I did have enough for a last one. Okay. They drained 3. Not risking that. I'm not really a fan of this Wiley Machines pattern. I just kind of like how it looks aesthetically. The simplistic yet alien shape is quite thematically fitting, I feel. The sprite flicker is so awful, I can barely see what's going on. That's an issue prevalent in the original game. I don't want to risk it, even though he has like 1 HP left. Yeah. Obviously, there is a hack that fixes the epilepsy, but if you want to play it in all of its epileptic gorgeousness, then you can still do that. Maybe not the best idea for me to show that, but this background palette was unused, or rather, the colors are unused. Well, it wasn't that color originally, but I mean, like, the extra shading wasn't originally there. And the extra little breaks in the background, that's an unused tile. Originally, the black was in the acid palette, was an unused gray. Again, this is unchangeable because enemies are locked to a specific palette, which is kind of unfortunate. But they didn't plan ahead in case you want to pair this enemy up with something else, but no biggie. Probably shouldn't have used so much bubble lead. Oh god, I should not have used that much bubble lead. What is wrong with me? Well, I might speed this footage up. That's an embarrassment right there. I have to reserve it for bubble. That's enough if I don't want to miss a shot. A couple more pellets, I think. Alright, I'm impatient enough for that to be sufficient. Ah, darn. Oh, that was... it did... One more. For bubbles! Okay. Enough with the chit-chat. Dr. Wowie is secretly an alien hive mind. Take him out, boys. With bubbles! Oh, no. There we go. I'm so used to the, Wily Wars version of the fight where he had iframes, and mashing him was a lot less viable, but he also moved a lot more slowly, so it was a bit less frantic. Damage tables were the same, though. But, darn. Kinda wish he had one extra move, but otherwise the pattern as it is isn't horrible. Just needs variety, I think. It's just a figure 8 with some homing shots. This is gonna be a tight one. Oh god! Fake suspense! GG. Not a fan of how the bullets camouflage with the background, but again, It's a problem with the original game. The changes added to this game significantly improve it. This is basically what it would have been if it hadn't been rushed to high heaven, with some extra graphical touches that, I don't know, I just thought were cool. This has been Megaman 2 Revamped with moi, Lava Man. My recording quality sucks. All the background noise sucks. I don't have proper audio equipment, but hopefully, again, my commentary has been somewhat worth your time. As aforementioned, it was an honor to playtest this game. It obviously improves upon the many areas in which 2 originally failed so horribly. 2 will still remain in legacy, an overrated game that is not even worth the top 10 NES. Not even. That title would go to 4, which directly improves upon this in every possible way. But anyway, just final thoughts. I zoned out. Oh yeah. Skipper's improvements to this game are on par with his improvements to 3. Obviously, the coding and graphical limitations of this game are so tight that you can't just like copy pasta the things that he implemented into 2 Atari Demake, which is interesting on its own. Go check it out. It's a more creative spin on 2 itself, but this is a more direct tackle of the primary problems with it. Weapons are not balanced. They actually do something. You can use any quantity of them, any combination of them. They are not perfectly balanced, but much more balanced than they originally were. On par with 1. So, yeah, like, compared to 1, this game originally had, like, noticeable problems, because 1 excelled in the endgame stages and the weapon usage, which was incredibly fun and, for the most part, balanced. Most of the weapons had their functionality, exception of Hyper Bomb and Super Arm, but even then. This game, obviously when you have 2 extra weapons, the balancing issues become a lot more noticeable when you're on a time crunch, and I would say Skipper did a good job of balancing them, with some tweaks on, with some, you know, obviously with feedback from the other playtesters, including myself, but also the level design, which is of course what Skipper specializes in, if you aren't already familiar with that. This has been a fun ride. I'm Lava Man, signing off.